The story of Easter is not just the story that happened a long time ago in a faraway land. The story that happens again and again, over and over, for all time. It's a story that has no end. On Easter morning, the women came to the tomb and they found it empty except for an angelic messenger who told them that Jesus had been raised from the dead and had gone on ahead of them, and that he would find them there ahead of them. And the women, filled with terror and amazement at this whole idea, ran away and said nothing. And so ends the book we call the Gospel of Mark, at least in its original form. This is a version of the Easter story you don't always hear. The other Gospels relate more stories and more scenes, but this one, which is actually my favorite, ends here. Most people don't know that, but now you do. And there's a reason for this. People had a hard time being faithful followers of Jesus. Jesus was hard to follow. When Mark wrote his book, this was his theme. People did not know who Jesus was. Everyone misunderstood him. His family thought he had lost his mind. Judas betrayed him. Peter denied him. All the male disciples deserted him before he was crucified. Even the women who had been faithful the longest of all ran away in fear, as we see today. And this is the original closing scene of the book that Mark wrote, which literally ends mid-sentence. But of course, we know that the story was not over. So we're left with this question. If everyone else ran away, is there anyone else who could be a faithful disciple and carry on Jesus' mission? Is there anyone else who has witnessed this story who can relay his message of love and reconciliation? Is there anyone else who can carry it on? Well, you know there is. Do you know who? It's you. It's you. It's me. It's us. As readers and hearers of the gospel, we have been part of the story all along. We have been witnesses the whole time. We were there at Christmas when Jesus was born, remember? We were there and heard God proclaim Jesus to be his beloved Son at his baptism. We were there with him in the wilderness when there were no others save angels and wild beasts and that devil Satan. Remember, you didn't see anyone else there. We were with him on the road and saw him healing the sick and making the lame walk again and giving sight to the blind and even raising the dead. We heard his teaching. We saw him transfigured. We were with him in the temple and in the desert and on the water and on the mountain where he fed 5,000 people and in the garden when he cried out in his agony and all the others had fallen asleep. We were with him at his trial. And we stood up together when he reached Golgotha on that Good Friday. And we are here today when the stone has been rolled away and the angel has given his message. He has been raised. He has gone before us. Go out and follow him. Go. And do not be afraid. All the time you were reading or hearing this story, maybe you thought it was a story about someone else. But the story is not just about Jesus, not just about God, not just about the women or the angel and his message. It's about all of these, but also it's about you. It's about us, too. Easter is the story of the future. It's about us as witnesses to the love and power of God that has been shown to us through the story of Jesus. Mark, the writer of first of all those four Gospels, meant this non-ending to his Gospel to be a challenge to us so that we would know what we need to know and do now. Today on Easter, we are all standing here at the empty tomb, and we have heard the angel. We now know that death doesn't have the last word. God has raised Jesus from the dead, and God will raise us too to be with God forever. Now we know that this is what love can and will do. You know the story. You've been a witness. And now you see that it is not finished. Will you be a faithful disciple? Will you carry the message forward? Will you watch for where Jesus has gone on ahead of you and follow him there? Will you go out into the world for the sake of Jesus of Nazareth, the risen Christ, to serve the least and the lost and the scared and the poor and the sick and imprisoned and all those who have lost hope? Will you? Please say yes. Hallelujah. Yes. Christ is risen. The Lord is risen indeed. Amen.